Hello and welcome. We are so glad you are here. If you're with us on Facebook or YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to get notifications when we have new videos. If you're with us on Zoom, drop a hi in the chat. We'd love to say hello back to you. If you're with us in person, hello, lovely people. And if this is your first time here, go ahead and sign our guest book, either in the lobby or at oakcliffuu.org/guest. Today's sermon is Invisible Harm with Beth Faree. First of all, a huge thank you to everyone who made yesterday's NerdCon such a success. I am filming this the day before NerdCon, so I'm just going to speak like I know what's going to happen, because I do. It was amazing. We had the best time. I was there. You were there. It was amazing. Seriously, thank you to everybody who contributed. I assume Scott's posting some lovely pictures here. And a huge, huge thank you to Joey for organizing the whole thing. All right. There will be a meditation on campus on June 20th at 11:30 a.m. It'll be 30 minutes of conversation, and then we'll join a worldwide meditation for harmony at 12 sharp. So show up if you can. That should be great. There's a little bit more information about that in the e-blast too. So then the next day, we have our summer solstice celebration on June 21st at 8 o'clock. I love our solstice celebrations. I cannot wait. It's going to be so much fun. Sarah, Ricky will do it. We'll have all the stuff, the things. It'll be great. Plan on attending that too. Lots of fun stuff. All right. Check out the e-blast for all the things we're doing, because we always have a lot going on, and I can't cover it all right here. I've tried in the past. It was too much. We have widening the circle of concern updates, information on the upcoming board meeting. The date has been changed, so check that out. Workday Wednesdays. Digging through the archives, fun stuff. Volunteering for coffee service, very important. Coffee service, you love your coffee. I love my coffee, gotta have coffee. And bowling on the 25th and the 4th Sunday of every month. So check all of that out. It is Sunday, and we have two things coming up after the service, so please stick around for one of them. Both amazing. Talkback is at 11:15. You always get something out of it. We talk about the sermon, and whether you come to talk or just listen, you'll love it. We also have adult religious exploration at 11:30 with Sarah Ricky. So both wonderful, both recommended. All right, it is time for member anniversaries. Everybody, happy UUCOC anniversary to the wonderful Alex Kennedy. Happy anniversary. And to you and to everyone else out there, I hope that you have a very happy Sunday.
Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Oak Cliff this morning. Glad to see all of you here. For those who may be with us for the first time, we welcome you, whoever you are. We will not be telling you what we expect you to believe. We are not a creedal church. We will, however, support you in your personal journey in the search for truth and wisdom and your path to a relationship with the divine. We're happy to have all of you join us this morning for our worship service.
May the light we now kindle inspire us to use our powers to heal and not to harm, to bless and not to curse, to serve you, Spirit of love, compassion, and forgiveness. Que esta luz que ahora encendemos nos inspire a usar nuestros dones y poderes para sanar y no para herir, para ayudar y no para impedir, para bendecir y no para maldecir, para servirte a ti, Espíritu de amor, compasión y perdón.
Opening words are Come Let Us Worship Together by Lindsay Bates. Come, let us worship together. Let us open our minds to the challenge of reason. Open our hearts to the healing of love. Open our lives to the calling of conscience. Open our souls to the comfort of joy. Astonished by the miracle of life, grateful for the gift of fellowship, confident in the power of living faith, we are here gathered. Come, let us worship together.
Spirit harvest the power. Our separate fires will kindle one flame. Witness the mystery of this hour. Our trials in this life appear all same. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then. Gather in hope, compassion and strength. Gather to celebrate once again. Gather the spirit of heart and mind. Seeds for the sowing are laid in store, nurtured in love and conscience refined, with body and spirit united once more. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then. Gather in hope, compassion and strength. Gather to celebrate once again.
Because we love one another, we honor each individual's spiritual journey. We celebrate life's abundance in service to each other, our community, and our world. We connect with each other in love, respect, and acceptance. Thus do we covenant together.
And now in Spanish. Porque nos amamos uno al otro, honoramos el viaje espiritual de cada individuo. Celebramos la abundancia de la vida en el servicio a entre sí, nuestra comunidad y el mundo. Ponemos en contacto a unos con otros en el amor, respeto y acepción, así que hacemos pacto.
It is said that into each life some rain must fall. And as we gather this Sunday morning, there are likely those among us feeling heavy-hearted as some of that rain falls into their lives. We invite you to share the sorrows or burdens you may be carrying today, for a burden shared can be a burden lightened. There's a book in the foyer just for that purpose, and we invite, as I read what is written there today, we invite those of you who are here virtually to share your sorrows in the Zoom chat or Facebook Messenger.
When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love.
We also like to celebrate together. So if you woke up this morning with a smile on your face or found joy along the way as you went out into the world, please share those with us also. If you're here virtually, you can do that in the Zoom chat or in Facebook Messenger.
Spirit of light, come to me, sing in my heart all the stirs of compassion, blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life a shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
I get my soapbox again. Before I begin, I want to say that this is probably one of the most difficult subjects I've ever tackled because it is so ingrained in our society that is complicated, and getting us out of ableism is going to be difficult and complicated. So if you feel triggered, just know that it's because you're learning, and even those of us who have disabilities practice ableism on occasion. So I also want to make it clear that throughout this talk, I will be using the term disabled, but I also want to recognize that some people do not prefer disabled. They prefer to be called otherly abled, or they have their own identity, and that's okay, and I want to honor that. Today we will examine ableism from historical realities that never died, language and work, and how it all fits into the current conversations. Ableism has been ingrained in our society since the beginning. In the 18th, 19th, and 20th century, early 20th century, there were laws called ugly laws. Anyone who looked different, anyone who acted different, was thrown into an institution. Women who had their could be thrown into an institution. PMS could throw you into an institution. Nellie Bly wrote 10 Days in the Madhouse, and during that time, she wanted everybody to think that she was actually mad, and she went through some horrendous things: cold water baths, torture. And if you've ever thought about witches being always portrayed as ugly, green, a lot of that is because the witches in the 16th, 17th century could be green from bruises, from being beaten and tortured in the jail. When they were dragged out, they looked old and haggard. And so that was how the Christian church molded the witch symbol into the old and ugly. The Bell Curve by Charles Murray. It's a book that was written, I think, in the 1960s, and it described Black people as being less intelligent, as well as disabled. I learned it in my school as a child. No doubt a lot of you did too. Did you know that they put DNRs on people with disabilities despite anything that the disabled person wants? They will put a DNR on this chart. Eugenics. World War II, we are familiar with the eugenics that were used in World War II on twins, and that still goes on today. Forced sterilization, institutionalized. People are still being placed in nursing homes and hospitals and groups where they are exposed to ableism every day, not allowed to do what they want. In fact, I personally have witnessed staff taking money that was intended for treatment for a disabled person and using it for what they wanted to do. The people who keep their money, but most of the time they might be honorable, but a lot of the time they will take away from the person and use it for their personal use. Language. If you're able-bodied, we call you a temporarily able-bodied, because at some point in time, all of us will be disabled and need help. One of the words that the disabled community is working to take back is crip. So if you hear us talking about being a crip, that's our word. So that's something that you should not use. One of the other terms we use is super crip. And that one is based on telling people with disabilities, you're so inspirational. How do you do it given the disability you have? Well, my disability does not define me. I may have a disability, but it does not define who I am. I am a person. You don't look disabled. What am I supposed to look like? PC language such as, like, you're a person with a disability, not a disabled person. I appreciate the sentiment, but an able-bodied person does not get to define who I am. If I say I'm a person with a disability, that's my reality, that's my truth. I can't say that for other. One of my favorites is when I'm in my support EBV and somebody, well, I had EBV once and I cured myself with red wine or whatever. Well, honey, I hate to tell you this, but you don't get rid of EBV. It's a virus that stays in your body once you have it. And I'm glad you feel better, but I am not going to go do yoga just because you think it's going to cure me. Now, if you're doing it because you are disabled and you have found that yoga helps you and you are suggesting, hey, it might help, that's different. That's not being ableist. You should be grateful to your caregiver. Well, I should be grateful for everything, shouldn't I? Shouldn't I be grateful for other people? Why do I have to be grateful to the caregiver? Doesn't mean that I shouldn't be here or that I'm less than human because I need someone to. Are you choosing to believe that my caregiver is there because I'm not good enough to be my own person? Biocertification. Biocertification is when you go to get your disability and you need doctor's permit. There was a story that I heard the other day about a man who had his leg amputated, and he went to get his disabled license so he could ride the bus. And they said, "I'm sorry, but we need you to get a note from your doctor to prove you're disabled." And the doctor wrote a note and said, "Seriously, guys? His leg is amputated. And unless I can come up with a way to regrow a leg, I have to declare him disabled." Change makers. Change makers are those of us who are disabled who go out and make a change and talk about these kinds of things. And one of the reasons that disability is so ignored and one of the lesser of the isms, even though we make up the largest minority in the world, because some people with disabilities focus on what they don't have rather than what they have. And they don't think that they can talk because they don't feel like they have a voice. And we need to change that. Inspirational quotes. Don't like them, most of them, but the one that I really have a problem with is, "I complained that I had no shoes until I met a man who had no feet." So that's implying that if you don't have shoes, you are superior to the person without feet. Now, some of these don't bother me personally, so I would encourage you to go to invisibledisabilities.org and read some of this. We need to find a cure for you. So I'm more acceptable if I'm cured. You're not as seriously affected by your disability as I am by mine, so my experience is more valid. No. If somebody says their disability means this and this to them, you need to listen, because their experience is no less valid than yours. On the other side of this, work school. Once a person comes in and applies for work and they have the disability, they are entitled to certain help. You need to establish what they need in order to integrate into the rest of the school or work without going too far the other way and privileging them. Once you set the disabled person apart and no expectations or don't require that they meet the same expectations as the other people with the help that they need, then you are privileging them. And you're setting them apart that way. I've talked to several people who didn't like school because they were sent to a different room for certain things rather than being given the tools they needed to stay in the classroom and not be centered, not to have the attention centered on them. Ageism is ableism. Older people have different needs. Older people have different problems. You're not hired for a job because you're older. That is ableism. Trans, LGBTQ, anything that may cause body dysphoria, anything that makes changes in your body, anything that's such as the reproduction laws, those are all ableist too. because you're focusing on body changes, you're focusing on physical health, mental health, and those all fall under the umbrella of ableism. Peer support. Peer support is more effective than sending anyone to a psychologist or psychiatrist or diagnosis and just getting them drugged. And that happens too much. We send people to psychiatrists for medications, want them drugged so they're no longer a problem. More and more peer counselors are coming up, and that's actually what I'm working on doing, is peer counseling. Now we get to today. Mass shootings and mental health. People don't realize is that mental health and the mass shooters cannot be connected. There's not a connection there. The mass shooters that are shooting up the schools are not mentally ill. They are indoctrinated, which is a whole different thing. That requires going back to the very core of which is the government, which is the very body of what we're doing here when we change laws, when we do laws. One of the things is that 12 mentally ill people are 12 times more likely to be victims than they are perpetrators. Another thing is that the indoctrination means, and the mass shootings are done by white kids from 19, 20 years old who have been indoctrinated in this, and that signs have been ignored. 90% of these kids tell everybody that they're going to do the shooting. So somebody is always aware that it's going to happen. They will talk about things. The mass shootings take time, and mentally ill person is not usually able to plan like that. And if you notice, the man who went to shoot Kavanaugh was mentally ill because he did not go through with it. He called and he asked for help. He recognized that there was a problem. And we don't give mentally ill people credit that they deserve, because they do know. They do know what's going on. They do understand that they're having a mental issue. But my guess is that he will be used as an example because he's still alive, and the mass shooters are dead because they've killed themselves or been killed by police. That's what concerns me. What are they going to do with this man? So called them and said, I'm having a problem. I need my medication. I need to be in the hospital. But because he went to Kavanaugh's house, and I'm not saying he shouldn't be held accountable. That's not the issue. Everyone should be held accountable. But it needs to be recognized that he is mentally ill. He has not been indoctrinated. One of the things that we think about most when we talk about disability is Trump's attack on the disabled person, the disabled journalist. What we don't know is that for the disability community, that was just one more thing. What they were more concerned about is what was going underneath that. What was going on in the government that was making this, because at the time, what they were doing is the Republican Party was slowly trying to roll back the ADA, and they still are. The opiate war, the war on drugs. Nobody wants their loved ones to be addicted to drugs. Nobody wants them to die from drug overdose. But the flip side of that is that people who are in chronic pain, people who know they need those drugs, now can't get them. So there's a higher rate of suicide among disabled people with chronic pain. As I said, we put them in group homes, we put them in institutions. And I do talk about healing. But when I talk about healing, it's because I've been disabled for over 40 years. I have a lot of experience with both sides. And I don't mean a real physical, I'm all well today, healing. I'm talking about being able to integrate my disability, mental health issues, and all of that into my person, becoming one person. And that's what healing looks like when you're mentally ill or physically disabled. So, in closing, I'd just like to say that when you see things like the mass shootings, when you see things going on, remember that those are part of our racist, our white supremacy nation. They are not mentally ill people. And unless we get to the root of the and stop the indoctrination of these children and teach real history, including the history of institutionalized because they look different or talk different or think different, we're never going to fix the issues. Thank you.
Open my heart to all that I seek. Let me be part of the love you give. Open my heart to all that I seek. Let me be part I seek. Let me be part of the love. Open my heart to all that I seek. Let me be part of the love. Open my heart to all that I seek. Let me be part of the love you
As was presented during the spring parish meeting, we will be taking a few minutes during worship each week to be mindful specifically about our anti-oppression work. Toward that purpose, please join me now in reciting our Widening the Circle of Concern covenant, shown on the screen and printed inside the order of service. We, the Unitarian Universalist Church of Oak Cliff, commit ourselves to the study and dismantling of racism and oppression within our congregation. We commit our congregation and ourselves to the work of anti-racism and anti-oppression. We commit ourselves to listening, to learning, and to action. When we fail, we commit ourselves to try again and again. We covenant to begin this work and to continue until all of us can truly say that we are a beloved community of justice, equity, and compassion. Let there be an offering to sustain and strengthen this place that is sacred to so many of us. A community of memory and hope, for we are now the keepers of the dream. If you're contributing cash towards your pledge in the sanctuary, please use an envelope and write your name on it. To text your donation, text it to 214-225-5996. For more options for techniques of giving, you can go to www.oakcliffuu.org/donate.
From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. De ti yo recibo, a ti te doy. Así compartimos y vivimos hoy. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. De ti yo recibo, a ti te doy. Así compartimos y vivimos hoy.
As we leave this community of the Spirit, by Richard S. Gilbert. As we leave this community of the Spirit, may we remember the difficult lesson that each day offers more things than we can do. May we do what needs to be done, postpone what does not, and be at peace with what we can be and do. Therefore, may we learn to separate that which matters most and that which matters least of all.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Extinguimos esta llama, pero no la luz de la verdad, el calor de comunidad o el fuego de nuestro compromiso. Estos los llevaremos en el corazón hasta que estemos juntos otra vez.
Just as long as I have breath, I must answer yes to life. Though with pain I made my way, still with hope I meet each day. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to life. Just as long as vision lasts, I must answer yes to truth. In my dream and in my dark, always that elusive spark. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to truth. Just as long as my heart beats, I must answer yes to love. Disappointment pierced me through, still I kept on loving you. If they ask what I
Amen indeed. It is something to say could be committed to the yes. Yes to life, yes to breath, yes to love. Because it suggests that our answer will be yes no matter what. Rain, clouds, sun. The answer is still yes. And as we move into the week, knowing that we have 2 activities on campus, but more importantly, that you're going to be doing the things that you do to make your life better. Remember your yes. Remember your yes. Now go in peace. Amen.